Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name's Tom Jenkins. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome everyone to this Shoulder and Off Peak webinar, which is very much a prelude to the Shoulder and Off Peak event that we're having in June, on the 12th of June in London. And if you want to know more about SHOP, please look at our website and also enjoy this discussion. Thank you very much. That's enough for the screen save. Thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by a whole group of experts today. We've got Alan Richards and Amber Ewell and Tristram Yardlevett and Terps Hassan. And I think what we'll do is let them introduce each other, and then we'll move on to the discussions. Alan, why don't we start with you?
Hello, I'm Alan Richards from Crony, Tamari and JTB, and I've worked here since 2002, which has been quite a while. I've seen ups and downs, and I've been in the industry since about 1989.
Amber.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Ewell. I am responsible for the river cruising product with Tauk. Alan has me beat. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, but hope to be able to bring something to the table.
And Tristram.
Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Tristram Yardlevett, and I'm the Managing Director of Globus and Cosmos in the UK and Ireland. So Globus and Cosmos are coach tour operators predominantly in the American market. And I've worked for the company for nearly 40
Too long.
years.
You don't have to mention it. You don't have to mention it. It's quite all right. I'm not going to talk about how long I've worked in the industry either. Terps Hassan, please.
First of all, thank you very much for having me this great opportunity for us. I'm Tetsu Tajika. I'm Director of HS Mickey Travel UK, responsible for all incoming business to the UK and Ireland. And then currently our source markets, we are handling APAC countries. And then especially after COVID years, I mean post-COVID market, we also opened the door for the European market. Currently, revenue share of peak and the shoulder season volume is around 40% versus annual total revenue. To promote and handle more on this season is very, very, of course, important for us to stabilize, on both inventory provision for high season and then annual revenue. I really look forward to have a very beneficial discussion with you here and learn from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. And indeed, you've already broached the subject which I was going to kick off with. By the way, I am currently in Brussels. As you probably can tell, I'm in the foyer of a commission building. They very kindly let me broadcast from here. Alan, shoulder and off peak. I mean, I think when it comes to tour operators, it's quite clear to me and to many of them that whilst a lot of their business is naturally focused around high season, they don't add, well, they're adding value, but they add the best value when they're most wanted. And there's no doubt that they're probably wanted more in low season and off season than they are at high season. Are you finding this, and how are you adapting to it?
Yes, it's true. For many years, the shoulder season has been part of not only our suppliers who want the business to come in those periods, but also as a tour operator, we don't want our staff sitting around with nothing to do also during the shoulder period. So it's in our benefit also to keep everybody busy. And it's been, it's always one of those conversations that you have during negotiations is, you have your summer month rates, and you also have your winter discounts, I call them, or we call them, just to try and generate lower price packages to encourage, people to buy them. And I think the agents in our source markets also recognize that they get better deals during the winter period to sell to their clients.
What you're implying there is that it's almost there is a strong element of price involved in this. I mean, is this the case, Trist?
Yeah, definitely. What we find is we have a kind of sub brand of Globus called Escapes by Globus, and these are packages sold departing between the very end of October right the way through to the end of March. So we developed this some 15 years ago, something like that. And what we very soon found is that there's definitely demand. There's no question about it. There's definitely demand. And one of the most attractive things that we found is that we have new clients. Now, clearly, anything in the winter will sell if it's at the correct price. So definitely price is the key driver for the winter business. But there are lots of other things to take into consideration as well. All of our products are really quite short in length compared to what we would do in the main season. We find that a week touring is very accessible to almost a new market. There are people, perhaps younger people, who would quite happily come over to Europe for a week if the price is right. You're muted, Tom.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm in a foyer here, so I have to mute myself. Amber, I mean, we obviously need to move the discussion beyond price, but I think price is a factor, undoubtedly. Is it not the case?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Tauk has been a little bit slower coming to this to broach this topic because we've really been so focused on experience and just concerns about marketing and performance materialization. But we are starting to dip our toes into it, and we are seeing that price is a critical factor. However, I think experience plays a huge role. We sort of see our guests actively self-selecting out of August, for example. This time period is really sort of, I'm talking about Europe specifically, is really sort of plummeting, and people are sort of pushing toward those shoulders anyway. So we have to provide product for them, but we have to also assure them that what we're offering is going to match their expectations. So I think that there's an important balance there. What we are offering, I agree with what's been said before, is shorter offerings at a different price point, aiming toward maybe the working crowd, the younger demographic slightly. So price is there, but it's not the only factor by any means.
Susan, I mean, is that what you're seeing? Is that uh, whilst price, excuse me, forgot. Whilst price is an important factor, it's not the only factor, and we'll be getting onto those. But
Yeah.
is yours a price-driven offer?
Actually, my comment is similar to other, presenters has already presented here. But for me, of peak and the shoulder season is a more price sensitive season, of course. But I think there are some different requirements depending on source market and then client profile, I think. And then very roughly, it's just our internal, term. It is that we currently categorize three market domains. One is the full service market, and then another market is coach and accommodation only market, and FITs. For us, in this season, I mean shoulder and the winter season of peak seasons, we need to make well balancing act in these three markets are very important, I think. Yeah, back to you. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think there's also the element, just in broad terms, is that you've got a very different product in winter, and it's not necessarily a worse product. In some ways, it's a better product. And the question is, how far can you market it as such? Are there going to be some areas where it's going to be tough? I think Tristan's area is not an easy area to say that it's brilliant. In fact, I'm going to turn to Tristan. How do you market low season in Wales, for example? Oh, you might ask.
Well,
I don't want to go any
it's
further than that.
it's quite strange actually because we have a winter and escapes product of Wales, and we don't have a main season product of Wales, and it sells pretty well. So that's come up as quite a surprise. We've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now, and it sells very well. And why does that sell? Perhaps because there isn't anything else. featuring whales from either us or our competitors, and so there is, that's a product that perhaps interests people, and it's a bit different. I have to say what we do with that Welsh product, it has 4 nights in Wales and 2 nights in London. We actually felt that it needed the London bit attached to it, not only because they'd be flying into Heathrow or Gatwick, but also because of the attraction of London. But it does seem to sell well. So having something different seems to work. I would say that when we put the products together for the winter, we do it within the normal Globus brand. So we don't cut corners in the sense that we don't do anything in the summer that we don't do in the winter in terms of, I don't know, luggage handling and inside visits and that sort of thing. So we want, with half a mind on introducing new clients to our brand. That's very, very important that the quality level is maintained. So obviously when putting a product together, we have to be considerate of the shorter daylight hours. I mean, that's clearly something that has to be considered. And also on occasions we found that weather has disrupted our programs, but not nearly as much as I thought they might have done. We had the Beast from the East. You might remember that from, I don't know how long ago that was, 10 years ago or so. And we had a couple of other occasions since then when weather has disrupted our tours, but we designed them in such a way that to try and minimize any effect of weather. I mean, if I just give you a quick example, we have a tour of Scotland, for example, that starts in Glasgow, ends in Edinburgh, and has a night in Inverness in the middle. And we designed it that way. So if there was a weather-related issue about getting up to Inverness, then we could adapt the itinerary if we had to by doing something else without actually getting up to Inverness. So in the design of the tour, we have to consider those sort of natural elements.
So what you're saying is you've got to find a way of adapting and make your itinerary not exactly weatherproof, but weather adaptable. And this must be a big issue for you, Amber. I mean, if you've got running a river cruise program.
Certainly, although that's always an issue for us. I mean, yeah, certainly we have to take into consideration the types of activities offer sort of buffering for these types of contingencies. But what I was thinking, as Tristan was speaking, is off season in tourism is not off season for European culture by any means. I mean, this is actually the time when the arts, the music scene, the cultural scene in Europe is sort of most alive, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity to capitalize on that. I mean, this is, the orchestra seasons, all of these events. And actually, someone in the question and answer section had just noted about special events, which is something that I had wanted to mention. Whether it's capitalizing, again, Christmas markets are the obvious opportunity, but also, for example, Carnival or other festivals that are happening at this time of year. So I think that there's actually a ton that could be offered and marketed in a very sort of specific, special way. But yes, we do have to be careful about these operational contingencies, so, for sure.
Alan, is that a case for you?
Operational contingencies, I mean, that goes hand in hand with running tours, really. These days, anything actually can happen. So one of the points I was going to say, I brought up the price initially there, but one of the other things some of our clients like during the winter is and we've seen particularly with our Japanese markets, an increase in the shoulder season business is because of the lack of crowds and the more availability. This is something we see quite a lot of comments about, is how nice it was to go to certain places. And one thing, special interest, I was going to say as well, was that price point is venues don't like to play with the price over the year. But what we try and encourage them to do is offer something different during the shoulder period to make them that stand out a little bit, to make it more encouraging to get people to travel during the winter period. I know we have the Christmas markets and special exhibitions, but certain included in the price of behind the rope experience or meet the gardener or something like this that is only available during the shoulder months. We find that's quite interesting as well.
And what you're bringing out now is the fact that shoulder and off peak is in some ways a unique experience, and it's not a cheap version of what you get in summer. It's just different, and it's in some ways preferable. It might meet people's needs in a way that the high season travel wouldn't. Do you think this is the case, Tetsu-san?
Yeah, actually, similar thing, same goes for us, our product. Actually, in winter season, our itinerary is more focused on entrance spots, of course, because of, shorter sunlight hours in winter season, off season, shoulder season. Then also we put more, purpose for the market and the clients to come to the UK and Ireland. Currently, we are promoting Premier Leagues and the whiskey distillery, royals, and then something like a more interactive experiences for all those, shoulder and then off-season tours. And then, one of the experiences we've started to promote to some source market is like a tie-up with one young ambitious chef and they go to the market to purchase some ingredients with the clients and they go back to the kitchen and cook with the chef and enjoy the meal. That sort of indoor and outdoor hybrid type of city break new experience we launched from this winter season. It's quite popular, good feedback from our clients as of this moment.
I mean, thank you for that, Tatsu. I mean, what we're reaching now is the thing that I know Jed Brown from Low Season Traveller, who's working on this this initiative with us, is very keen to point out that this is not a cheap version of what you do in summer. It's a totally different experience, and it's to be viewed as such. And he's very, very keen on that. I think where we started though with the perception that in some ways the prices aren't quite as rich, I think we might say, as they are in summer, is not a bad place to start. It certainly gives operators elbow room, I think we might say, to do things. Look, and I'm absolutely delighted that we've got nearly 200 people in the audience, and you're already posting in the question and answers area. You've mentioned that the Clos Lucé is extending their Leonardo da Vinci exhibition into the low season, and obviously our northern friends up in Finland are running Lapland tours. These are uniquely, well, it's high season for that area if you're trying to do visits to Father Christmas or what have you, but they're pointing out that this is the moment to see the Aurora Borealis, and you want long nights if you want to do that. You don't want no nights to start. So please, everyone, do use the Q&A. But as it happens, we've got a few we prepared earlier because some of you very kindly sent in some questions before this event, and I'm just going to run through a few of them. Somebody from Top Deck Travel, no less, one of the founder members of ETOA, so they're curious to hear from the panelists what benefits, macro level, and those specific to the operator, that they convey to suppliers when negotiating shoulder season product. So what do you say to a supplier, tour operators, when you're saying, look, how about it? Tristan, can I start with you? You look suitably reluctant.
Well, I mean, the obvious one from a buyer's perspective is that we have something else to offer. Now, I know your favorite word, Tom, is over-tourism, but back in the day when we used to have over-tourism in certain parts of Europe, as we do indeed now, a supplier more or less has a queue of people wanting to buy their products in the summer. And the one thing that can make the difference from a buyer's perspective is to give a supplier business when they want it and when they most need it, which is in the shoulder season. So in that respect, it's a win-win for buyers and suppliers. So yeah, that's a key discussion that we would have with any supplier, and the ability to provide them with business is definitely a positive.
Tatsu-san, do you think that this is something that you bring to the table as well? I mean, is it? I say simply, it's actually really important to be able to say, look, I'm not just uh, a friend for you when you don't need business. I'm a friend for you when you need business, and this is quite an important selling point, is it not?
Yeah. As I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, yes, off season, shoulder season, and then to provide more business to our, loyal suppliers, really important to feed them and ask them to provide more inventory in high season. This is the point why we need to investment to develop, off season and shoulder season, winter season product to enhance the market.
Good, right. Emma, is this? I mean, is it as straightforward as we're indicating, or is it more nuanced?
Yeah, I mean, I do think overall it really is just a total win-win for all parties, including the customer. I do think it's a real investment in the relationship, and it brings that relationship between the buyer and the seller to another level. It's really an understanding of each other's needs and sort of working with each other in that way, which I think benefits everyone overall. I mean, I do think that there are certain risk mitigation elements that we would, need to be part of these discussions. Obviously, marketing is a challenge, at least from the American market for these times of year. So I think that we need to be considering, what sort of enhancements, as Tetsu was saying, what can we bring that's an additional bonus to that selling, and then also just in terms of cancellation policies and other risk mitigation. These are important factors as well. So, yeah, I mean, there is nuance involved, but it's very hard for me to find a sort of downside to this situation.
Amber, sorry, Alan, have you got a down? No, I'm sorry, we shouldn't be looking for downsides, but I'm just intrigued. Well, really, it's a really straightforward thing from Top Deck. You're going in to see a hotel. What do you say? You're going to bring them low season business. They're not going to go away sick to death of that one, are they?
No, they're not. And I think over time we kind of don't see them as suppliers, but more as partners. Where we can develop tools that enhance the client experience. You talk about hotels. Where we try and level the rates and the conditions so that it fits both the shoulder and the summer season, and we get continuity of product. And we have that communication. So, for example, if a hotel has a particular month or couple of months where they struggle, to fill, we can have that conversation where we can support them and tell them, don't tell us a week beforehand, give us 3 months notice, and we might be able to promote or, generate some business. And it's that partnership where we can bring that win-win situation that's good for us and our clients, but also good for them, to fill their rooms or get people through the gates.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the one danger you've got is that I'm just picking up yours earlier comment that there are all these festivals in Europe. Festivals in Europe, particularly things like the Strasbourg Festival or the Edinburgh Festival, obviously occurs in August. But these are not synonymous with being able to get space very easily in hotels. So it can be a kind of double-edged sword on that front. I've got everyone. Thank you so much for posting questions and statements in the Q&A here. I've got a question from the panelists. As I come from Greece, and most people think of Greece as for the summer and its islands, would you take measures to draw attention to the winter destinations of Greece or other summer destinations like Italy or Spain? This would take more time, money on your side to promote a destination, but long term it would benefit everybody. Um, well, as you all said, it's very difficult to say no to that, but I don't know if you've got an angle on this. What do you say in reply to this plea?
So was that for me?
Shall I get?
That was Amber.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you
sorry.
very
Yeah,
much.
yes, yeah.
I
No,
called you by your second name
yeah, no,
because
no, no worries at
I've
all.
got a head full of cold. It would be fun.
No worries at all. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an uphill battle from the marketing perspective. Would we be willing to make the investment? I think we're investigating this at this time. It's something we're really actively looking into. Um, I do think it would take some really strong propositions from the seller side. I think we'd need to see some people come forward with really great proposals for what could be offered. I mean, certainly a Greek sort of history and cultural heritage tour in the off season, I think would be amazing for the right clientele. But we need to see that that product is available and has the infrastructure to support it. So I agree there's a lot of potential, but I think we need to see that the product is there. I mean, it's not unlike any kind of diversification of tourism. I mean, if we want to go to destinations that are less known, we also have to see the offers. We have to see what's available. We have to see that it's going to work to support group tourism. So it's definitely a conversation, and I do think work needs to be done on both sides. We have to make the investment in the marketing, but the destination needs to make the investment in providing the product that we can sell.
I mean, what you're really saying is that this isn't a magic bullet. I mean, and I think the other thing for people to grasp is that if they're struggling to sell their destination in high season, it's not going to be an easy sell in low season. It's going to be even tougher. It's extraordinary at the moment. I mean, I'm talking to you from Brussels because the European Commission are hosting their annual tourism day where everyone gets together and talks tourism. And the big topic is how they move people away from the peak areas and the peak months. And one of the big hopes they've got is somehow they can disperse this throughout the country. And excuse me, how they can disperse this throughout the countryside. And the point that the industry is making is, look, it's comparatively easy to sell someone a destination that they want to go to, but at a different time of year. It's much, much harder selling them somewhere where they don't want to go because they don't want to go there. So it's a much tougher proposition. Now, I think how this fits in within the real market. I think there is. I think the good news that we're hearing this for, and we'll go into these questions in a minute. But the good news is that there is an enormous top-down interest in boosting tourism at different times of year from the years where people regularly see them. And the question is, I suppose, how do we do it and how do we get there? I've got a question here coming in, which is simply saying it's clear that tourism is increasingly shifting towards experiences rather than travel as an end in itself, which often culminates in overcrowded destinations. It is up to tour operators and travel agents to ensure that this trend is increasingly embraced and encouraged in order to offer customers products that create unique and lasting memories for travelers. This is less of a question and more of a statement. But I did, Tetsu, Tetsu-san, do you think that we've got answers for these people telling us that we've got to do it? I mean, are you doing it?
Oh, sorry, please.
Yes. Is that a yes? I mean, Tristan, I mean, is this something we're doing?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I see John Fitzgerald's posted a question there, and we're working with John this year. So he does this fantastic coastal food foraging in Ireland. We haven't branched into the winter stuff yet with him, but no doubt we'll have conversations with him. I would just point something out that sprung to mind just now as we were chatting. And I could do a nice plug for ETOA here, Tom. I think, meeting at BIM or GEM, that is the place for us to, as a buyer, to meet our suppliers and have these discussions. So those kind of 12-minute sessions are invaluable in linking us as buyers with suppliers. But yeah, experiences, that is what it's all about. We know that. And moving forward, whether it's off season or main season, and it's a way of um, introducing clients to kind of more kind of small scale visits that they really appreciate. They really like to get their hands dirty. And in John's case, with Atlantic Irish seaweed, it's literally walking on the beach, picking up the seaweed and getting an explanation about how it's not poisonous and how wonderful it is, and all the values of seaweed. So that sort of thing, or visiting farms, or that the general trend towards experiential stuff is a big positive, and it distributes the business as well. It takes people away from the high volume attractions, and I totally agree. As an operator, it's our responsibility to diffuse the tight spots and to introduce the markets to something that is incredibly fascinating, and less crowded.
So, Alan, do you think lava bread has its now moment in the sun?
Let's not go that far, shall we? I can't get my kids to read. But no, I totally echo what Tristan says. What ETOA and BIM does for us tour operators is great. It gives us the opportunity to meet everybody in one place, because you can't travel up and down the country popping into all of these places. You'd be there forever. So it is great what ETOA and BIM does. But it is certainly a trend that we see quite a lot of, where the clients actually want to get dirty. They want to get involved. They want to speak, to the people who are making this or doing that or looking after this, as you say, farms or palaces, or I've even had some clients who or one of our agents wanted to have a regular meetup with a butler in a country home, because he saw that with Downtown Abbey, that these kind of things, shows are generating this kind of interest in these kind of way of life that happens over here. And to find these kind of people, you have to attend these events. But yeah, it's certainly a trend that's going in that direction. And as Tristan says, these places at the moment are not over tourism. They are quite eclectic. They enhance the itinerary as well. And some of our agents particularly want some offerings that are different from everybody else's. And that's we're forever trying to find that new experience or exclusive, just for us, kind of event or attraction.
Well, thank you. I think a lava bread, by the way, is a famous Welsh delicacy made of seaweed. It probably needed an explanation. You've got a question here from David Brady, which is going beyond the baseline of competitive pricing and operational flexibility. I'm interested in exploring the specific differentiators that drive your procurement decisions. When elevating two culturally similar experiences within a destination, what are the intangible qualities, such as exclusive access, narrative-driven guiding, or hyperlocal authenticity, that elevate one product from a standard option to a strategic must-see for your clients? That is quite a sophisticated way of saying, how can I make myself persuasively unique? I think I might throw that at Amber to start off with, and then I'll go on to you, Tetsuya. Amber, if you've got a way of, I suppose, describe your ideal inclusion. I think that would
Yeah.
be the way of looking at it.
Yeah, this question caught my eye actually. I was thinking about it, and I mean, I think David has already sort of listed, much of what that is. It's the exclusive access, it's the narrative-driven guiding, hyper local. Yes, of course. I mean, I think a lot of it is about the people that you're working with. The issue is that we are all searching for the same thing, right? We all want exclusive access. So I think a big part of it is a willingness to sort of to have an exclusive partnership. This is honestly a big draw for us. So I think that that's something, buyers who are coming to these kinds of events, obviously they want to attract as much business as possible. But I'm just very candidly saying that that can actually work against the relationship. I think we are looking for those sort of exclusivities. Um, I think actually operational ease and flexibility do play a very big role in that. I think it needs to function and needs to be scalable. It needs to be able to work with, various sizes, various volumes. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is a little bit ineffable. It's about the personal connection, and it's about, the sort of feeling of integrity that we get from a potential partner. Um, but yeah, I mean, the buzzwords ring true for all of us, right? It's about local, it's about connection, it's about storytelling. So I think, David is on the right track, but there are certain, realities about exclusivity and about operational and logistical ease that do play an important role.
Totally stand. I mean, well, what makes a an inclusion stand out for you? I suppose is the question to rephrase what David's posed.
Yeah, it's very sure. And actually, in winter and shoulder season product, exclusive access is the key. It's very important. I think I totally agree with that point. But you know, uh, you know, another point is like storytelling. I really like this phrase, storytelling. This is also a very important point to let enjoy the clients in this, sunrise shoulder, sunshine shoulder hours of season. And then another point is like, if we saying that off season, shoulder season, we imagine it's from November to February to March, something like that. Usually we feel this period, this quarter is of shoulder season, I think. But funny thing is that for some source market, January, February is their, relatively high season. In that respect, mixing up with some source market to take a balance well is really important, I think, because exclusive access, even if we do utmost effort to purchase and develop all those experience, we cannot provide these things every day for 10 to 15 groups or parties. It's a limit of provision. So that is why it's exclusive access. But if there is some source market, relatively good season for them to come to the UK in January, February, we need to grab it. And then, for example, I take one example as, Manila, Philippine market. January, February is one of their high season. And then they prefer to join some special interest tour. And that special interest tour is like a Camino tour, religious tour. We can easily set the theme, even if it looks like a very normal itinerary, but like, storytelling factor we can implement, that would be a special interest tour for them. That sort of balancing act we are doing currently.
Right. Alan, is this something that you have an angle
on? Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everybody has said so far, but I think, where the point of the question is really for us is communication. Tell us, communicate to us, and not only us, but also to our clients, via tourist boards, to communicate what is it that makes you different during the shoulder season, what makes you stand out from, the other competitor, and, go to that source market. And, while we can only do so much with our agents and inclusions into tours, and, if we like it, but it needs that extra communication on their side as well, not only to us, but to the clients, to tourist boards, the support of them. So, it's all very well us putting it in itineraries, but you still got to get the people to actually want to come and see those places.
it's an interesting area we're going into this, because we're looking almost, when we're emphasizing experiences, and experiences is not new. We've been selling experiences as tour operators for 50 years. And as I quietly point out to people who say that people don't want the old experiences, I say, well, look, an extraordinary experience remains going into the Sistine Chapel if you've never been there. I mean, you can't deny that experience to people, and it's rightly way up on the list of people's um, uh, wants. What we're witnessing, I just put this to you, is that we're looking at almost a shift away from the person who was responsible for delivering those experiences and finding them, which was the tour guide, is now being placed emphatically in the hands of the operator to make sure that they're there and included. I look back, and many years ago, there was a tour guide who, because he'd led the company, the Polish company that had liberated a small southern Italian town, every time he took a group there, he was met by the town band. They had a civic reception and were greeted by the mayor. Now, you can't write that sort of thing into an itinerary because it's very, very specific to the guy leading it. Um, Even when I was a guide, and that's some years ago, I mean, I would ensure that we would not stop at a motorway service station for lunch, but we'd go to a hotel which was an old castle, and the proprietor would tell a ghost story over soup and sandwiches. These are the things that these are the experiences that the guide was supposed to be able to pull out of their back pocket and land with clients. Now, excuse me, this is a marketable product that you wanna finesse. Tristan, you look thoughtful. I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, yeah, all of that is entirely true, of course. And actually, when we're thinking of our clients, it's a bit of a cliche, but we need to make them feel emotional about it. And seeing a castle from afar, or even going to 3 castles in a week, might be too much. But going to a farm where they see Highland cattle or whatever it may be is something. It's the Instagram generation, isn't it? They'll be posting pictures. That's what they'll tell their friends when they get home. That's what they take home. It's the emotive stuff. One thing I just wanted to go back on quickly, if I could, we talked about sometimes restricted opening during the winter. And I do remember back in 10, 15 years ago, there were quite well-known towns in our patch that we work in that just were not open. Hotels were just not open in the winter. And their answer to us when we told them we want to bring winter business was, oh, we're closed from, I don't know, in January and February. These days, I think because of the increase in shoulder business, they recognize that they need to stay open, which is good for them as well. So going back to where we started, it's the shoulder business is a win-win. It helps us from our side and the buyer's side with our fixed costs and introducing clients to our brand, all of those sorts of things that we've talked about. But also it helps the suppliers as well. If I could just go back, Tom, to David's comment. I love that hyperlocal authenticity. I love that phrase. It's fantastic. And I think David was asking the question about what makes a buyer decide what would be included on the tour. If I can speak for us, we have regular scheduled tours, so in theory every tour is the same, the itinerary is the same, so we're not really into the FIT business either. But the thing that would go through our head is, over the course of the week, we want a variety of experiences for our clients. So we don't want to take them to 4 cathedrals in a week or 3 castles. Maybe one's enough. And then I have to say, as well as the meeting people at our events and other events, and that kind of contact, that leads on to whether we like it or not, it's very much a personal connection that can define whether an operator brings business to a supplier. So it could be that there's a personal connection. You meet somebody at a tour event, for example, and they understand what we're trying to do, we understand what they're trying to do, and we like each other. it sounds strange, but I think inevitably it's part of the business, and you have a connection. So it's kind of a personality driven as well. So yeah, and then in the actual event of a group arriving somewhere, it has to be a unique experience in itself. So whether it's let's say, I don't know, a farm attraction, it's the personality of the person in the farm who's delivering the experience to the clients that is all important, again, to try and reach those emotive senses for our clients.
I think I think that was really well put. If I may just add a slight gloss into that, I think you may have a wonderful experiential product out there, but you've got to sell it. No one's going to find it that easily. So there are events out there. Well, I would say that this webinar is specifically here to promote the shoulder and off peak event that we're having in June. So it's there for you if you want to do that. But you may be wonderful, but unless anybody knows about you, you're not going to be bought. Okay, right. I've got a question here on demographics. What demographic travelers? It's been raised before, but are we seeing a different demographic travelers going for shoulder? We've intimated that it might be some of the people working that can only take 5 days off, and you've got 7-day tours that would fit people with 5 days off. Is this the case? I mean, I will just start with that, Alan. I mean, do you see a different demographic for this?
Not hugely for our clients or our agents, particularly the Japanese market that we have, and they are pretty much the predominant travelers for us during the shoulder season, and the Taiwanese. They do still tend to be of an age. They're active travelers. Sometimes, like I said, they're a bit more savvy now about when to travel. They get the idea that during the shoulder season it'll be lower prices, it'll be less crowded, and so yeah, it's more of a clued in traveler that we find traveling with us, and sometimes a more experienced traveler as well who want something different. During the normal season, we have all the usual suspects on our tours, but we do try and offer a little different during the winter period just to make it a bit different. And we have to be flexible with itineraries because of sunlight hours, and as Tristan was saying, some venues are not open or close early. And on that point, if we are talking shoulder season, and we do bring series regular departures, we look for flexibility from our suppliers as well, that kind of can try and fit in with what we're trying to do, what we're trying to sell, and not just have that blanket, sorry, we're closed. So that would be good. But no, as far as demographics, we don't see so much of a difference really.
Tatsu-san, is there any difference in I mean, you've already covered it to a certain extent because it changes market to market. But do you think there's a specific demographic type that goes for shoulder and off-peak tourism?
Yeah, actually, of course, we are also handling Japan market. Japan market's demographic is exactly the same, situation of me, like Alan said that. But currently, like I mentioned earlier, we are developing some Premier League, match watching and tours in Japan market as a APAC countries. Then, even if it's Japan market, all those, main tour participants are from age of 20 years old, 40 years old. Most of them are very, very young. And then if it's source market point of view, I think in APAC countries, Taiwan, this source market providing younger generation people to come to the UK or Ireland, because 60% of the people of Taiwanese have passports. And then one of the national pastime for them to enjoy holidays overseas. That is why this source market demographic is unique compared to the others. That's what my
Cool.
feeling.
No, very good. Amber, I mean, do you see any shift in the demographics of the low season traveler?
I have to admit, it's a little bit hard to gauge at this point because we're really sort of dipping our toes in
Yeah.
this area at the same time as we're also launching a new brand, which is really aimed toward a sort of still working demographic. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, I do agree. I think it was Tristram who said that it's both people who are sort of price conscious, but also people who maybe are a little bit more savvy and aware of the possible crowding or the heat or, just the general sort of challenges of traveling during the high season and who want that experience. I do think there's a lot of potential to sort of touch a more sort of culturally curious crowd who sees themselves as a little bit more educated and really wants a little bit of a deeper experience. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and it's hard to say. I think there's a lot of groups potential as well, just especially with the value presented. I just wanted to take the opportunity, since I'm speaking, to go back quickly to a couple of points that were mentioned. I can't reiterate enough how much the person. So in terms of what sets an experience apart, you could be, selling eels on the side of a highway, and if you have the right person telling the story, that's going to be a tour highlight. So that is by far the most important factor. You have to have those people who have that ineffable something. The other part is, Tom, you were talking about how the tour leader used to be the one who would sort of bring the guests to these special touches. And I have to say, at least for us, a very good portion of our tour components come from this very source. It's these tour directors who make that local connection, who find those people on the road, and it's so successful, it becomes then a part of the program and it develops relationships. So I still think that's a hugely important part of the finding process. So,
That's good to know, speaking as an ex-guide.
yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that we're drawing, unbelievably, drawing the end of our allotted period. Thank you very much for posting all your questions, many of which weren't questions, they were just highlighting the fact that you are open for business at open for business in low season. I think this has been a really interesting discussion. I think that when first looked at this, people were citing stories from 10, 15 years ago of there used to be a competition between the purchasing teams of the various tour operators when they met as to who could cite the most stupidly low price they'd ever been offered. And it was always a suburban four-star hotel in somewhere fairly unpromising at a low season time of year. They were all out trumped, if I can use that expression nowadays, by a lady from a British coach operator who'd been offered £18 a night, all inclusive, on the Spanish coast. And that implies full board and alcohol for £18 a night, which is fairly staggering. These days are gone. There are going to be elements to that out there, and this is what perhaps makes this quite what a really interesting subject. But what we're looking at is we're looking at a different product, and not necessarily for different people, but a different experience for people coming to Europe. And the fact that they're not going to have to put up with 40 degrees centigrade, that they may not have to put up with the really dense crowds that you see or the long lines that you see in summer, is actually a major selling point. It's not just about, or it isn't even about low price. And I'd just like to ask everyone their one thought on this subject, other than by all means come to, and I'll meet you at the Shoulder and Off Peak Marketplace at ETOA in June, which goes without saying. If you've got one thought more on this subject, I'll start with Alan because your name begins with A and L.
Thank you. I knew it was always a problem during my life. But yeah, I think one thing I would say is to conclude is that we are looking for partners to bring products during the shoulder season, and just be very clear with us what makes you different to everybody else. What can you add to our products? What is that added value that's different to the summer months? You know, if you can bring something different, something special, then you know we're very happy to include it in one of our tours. And you know, even if it's as Tristan was saying, you know, it's not there during the summer, or you don't have so much business, we can combine it with other popular services that you know we can include, and it does make it different. And of course, price is always important as well.
Sorry, Amber.
Yeah, I really just echo what Alan had said. I mean, we really want to explore this market, but we need the help of the sellers. We need the product. We need the, you know, the lift, the help with the marketing. So I think you know, if we're both working toward this goal together, I think it's going to be very achievable. And I actually think that this is one area where all of us working in this market at the same time actually helps everyone. This is not a competitive, you know, edge necessarily. I think we can all be successful. There's plenty of room. And the more we get the word out there that's traveling in the off season is a great experience, I think the more it will benefit everyone. So.
Christian?
Yeah, I think overall this subject has a win-win written all over it for both suppliers and buyers. From our side, from the buyer's side, I would encourage suppliers to be as flexible as possible. Ordinarily, a supplier might want a group arriving at, I don't know, 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, but it could be the only time we can fit it in is at 4:30 on a Saturday. And so if there's flexibility there, then we could start working together. And one of the attractions, I would say, of working with new suppliers for us with our winter business is that there is the potential for the summer business as well. So investing in the future is definitely worthwhile. But overall, shoulder season is a win-win for everybody as long as we all understand the parameters and what's required to make it successful.
Tetsu-san.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I echo all of these three people's comments. Listening what sales people are saying, get the chance to, obtain an idea from all those sales people are bringing. So in that respect, to enhance this listening opportunity on our entity, on our company, we just set up one, particular department. It's called procurement department to communicate with sellers, suppliers, away from day-to-day operation work. That sort of things makes us, more closer to your place to have a seat together and talk together. And then probably all those dialogues makes us a great hint to develop a unique new product from now on, not AI cannot do. Yeah, this is very important, I think. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you, panelists. Thank you, audience. I have to say, we have over 150 people still on the discussion. Many more will be joining us online, I know, for the recording, which will be posted. Zoom does not give me a green room to talk to the panelists afterwards, so I'm just going to say thank you, Alan, thank you, Amber, thank you, Tristan, thank you, Tetsu-san, thank you, everybody who's taken part in this, and thank you all of those who posted questions as well. So thank you. It's been great talking to you. See you in June.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.